And Ukrainian authorities say one person has been killed by a Russian missile strike on residential buildings in Zaporizhia. President Zelensky condemned the attack. At least 25 people were taken to hospital after two 9-story buildings were hit. Chinese President Xi Jinping has left Moscow after 2 days of talks with President Vladimir Putin. The two leaders issued a joint statement on Tuesday calling for responsible dialogue to end the war in Ukraine. Mr. Putin says Beijing's proposal to end the conflict could be used as the basis for a peace settlement, but that Kyiv and the West do not appear willing to resolve the situation. Well, our special correspondent Carl Bostic has been monitoring developments, and he joins me now from our studios in London. Good to see you, Carl. Let's start with President Zelensky's visit to the front line near Bakhmut, meeting battle-weary soldiers there. What more do we know about that visit?
Charles, more than battle weary, I would say, because, as you said, it's been a long struggle, but this has been really the longest sustaining battle of the war so far in the past 13 months. It began in August. Bakhmut, Charles, it's barely even a city. It's a town of 70,000 people, Charles, but it's on the edge of Russian-controlled territory, which Russia wants to seize so that it can then push forward into the Donbass region. That's why it's important, but it's really more symbolic than anything else. President Zelensky actually visited Bakhmut back in December, days before Christmas, to show defiance, resistance, and resolve. What's really striking about this, Charles, is this. This is a city of 70,000 people. It's nothing but a wasteland. It's in ruins. In fact, Ukrainian minister mentioned that the city was entirely evacuated. Only 10 children are still there. This really harkens back to the First World War, Charles, because it's nothing but trench warfare. Because this battle, if anything, it shows a striking dimension of this war. It's a war that shows how this is one of a ground combat war, where lots of troops are required and lots of artillery. And that's why it's so striking. And because of the symbolic nature, that's why Ukraine has not retreated. Already, Russia overall, Charles, the past year.
Carl, you were telling us that Bakhmut has been fending off Russian attacks for 7 months now. So you could say that it is a city that has come to epitomize Ukrainian resilience and has also become a symbol of the failure of Russia's war aims there.
Charles, that's correct. I mean, it's now in the 8th month of the longest and deadliest battle of the war so far. And while many will suggest that this is not a turning point or a battle of strategic value, it's very, very symbolic, because Russia's had many, many setbacks and they're into 8 months. And if there's a strategy for Ukraine, despite the high losses of casualties, their strategy could be one of draining Russia and weakening Russia, preventing it from deploying its assets elsewhere, because Russia didn't expect it to go on this long. So the Zelensky visit basically is one of defiance, as you just mentioned. But to put things in perspective in terms of just the loss of manpower, this is a ground war, Charles, that even makes you think about World War I. It's trench warfare, Charles. It's amazing. And what you have so far is that you have troops, not only just Russian troops, but mercenaries from a group that's been outsourced by the Russian government, the Wagner Group, also made up of prisoners who have been freed to fight on the condition that they fight for 6 months and then they'll be able to walk away. But they've been basically human waves of assaults against Ukrainians. That's because Russia's more than 3 times the size of Ukraine. So multiple times a day, Charles, they're sending 5, 6, 7 waves of Russian troops or mercenaries or prisoners, into the fight in Bakhmut. And that's why the casualty toll is now 30,000, Charles, over the past several months, of those killed and injured. The overall toll being 200,000. So we have to really see what happens. In terms of the value of Bakhmut, it's at the edge of Russian-controlled territory. If they capture it, It's at the crossroads of highways leading to much numerous population centers. So again, Charles, this comes a day after President Zelensky was welcoming Japan's leader, Kishida, the first time a Japanese leader has visited a war zone since World War II, to show his support for Ukraine. That's how much has changed in the past year, Charles.